want to tell the world you're in love with a girl named Fran? So you find an overpass and you say it with a spray paint can. Blue lights start a blinking, those handcuffs click. You know who to call and you better call quick. Saul, Saul, you better call Saul. He'll fight for your rights when your back's to the wall. Stick it to the man, justice for all. You better call Saul.
Hey guys, what is up? Mega Gamer here, and this is my review on episodes 5 and 6 of Better Call Saul. And damn is all I have to say, especially for the episode 6. Damn. Alright. Now, I'm back in the situation where 7 is waiting for me to watch it. So, again, I'm going to try and make this brief. I honestly think there isn't, I mean, there's a lot to talk about here. There is a lot. But it is something that I can kind of sum up really quickly. But I just want to get into it. So, episode 5, we basically saw kind of the aftermath, if you will. And it turns out that episode 6, the Mike episode, which we're going to get into later, was meant to be episode 5. And then what turned out to be episode 5 was actually just a way of kind of putting us in a better position with where we just left off. At the end of episode 4, there was the whole, McGill kind of dealio, with Jimmy. I keep calling him Saul. With Jimmy going up against, the big corporation kind of thing and doing the whole billboard stunt. That was pretty much where we left off with episode 4. And episode 5 kind of drops that a little bit. It sees Jimmy kind of find his place a little bit more. He kind of gets this advice which, he dismissed pretty quickly because, well, actually no. We got to go back a bit. So it opens up. And Jimmy has all these new clients that he's attending to, and he's going to see what the deal is with them. And you're like, oh yes, nice Jimmy, you've got all these new clients. This is awesome. Thanks to Billboard, something. So all those 8 missed calls. This is awesome. But then you see them, and they're all just like, meh. They're full of fake promises and money for big ass ventures that aren't just happening, or maybe they make sex toilets that just aren't very nice. But then he actually makes his first profit. He snatches the money out of the old woman who's doing her will. And this, kind of leads into a bit of a joke when him and Kim are talking later. But then Kim suggests that he should specialize in elder law. Is it elder law? I think it's elder law. You know what I'm talking about. Law for the elderly people. Being old sucks, is what Saul says, or Jimmy says. So I thought that was very interesting. I was like, that's kind of a weird position, but when you actually see it in action at the end of the episode, when Jimmy's you're like, oh, okay, this is a weird turn. It's definitely not going to last like this. We know in the end he's going to be working with Jesse and Walt, not these older people. But this was an interesting turn. I was like, oh, I'm curious how long this is going to pan out. While the other side of the story was Chuck, who we know stole the neighbor's newspaper. Alas, the cops ring on the door and taser him. And this is kind of where we explore his condition, if you will. Now, Chuck is... I'm going to just look up Chuck right now. I just wrote down Chuck. I should probably add some specifics. Better Call Saul, Chuck McGill. So yeah, Chuck is an interesting character, and we get a much better look this time in episode 5 at his condition. He's in the hospital. They kind of have a discussion about it. And... yeah, there's this troubling notion in your head where it's like, maybe he's faking this, and it's damn, the acting's really good. The story's really good. Everything's really good. But this was kind of a good juggle. I was really into, is he faking it, is he not? The dirty trick that the female doctor does, and kind of the debate as to whether or not to kind of send him into, I think it was some sort of rehab, as I recall. To kind of get Chuck into that position, or to let him stay at home where he's probably best, or at least that's kind of the argument that's going along. And I found it interesting that Jimmy, at first it seemed, when Jimmy said to his rival, and I forget his name, Howard Hamlin, when he says to Howard Hamlin, oh, like, screw you, you're only saying what you're saying, so you can hold on to the profits or whatever, blah, 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 I'm going to take him in. But then when he walks off and he actually tells Kim, no, I'm not, I just want to see him shit his pants, basically, I'm going to take him home. That was that was a cool way of hitting it on both ways. Because at first I was like, are you really doing this to your brother just for that? It's like, that is rough, and that is really rough. But then you kind of see later on, it's like, oh, okay, he's faking it. It's kind of hitting two birds with one stone-ish, but it's like he's obviously going to find out later on that that's not the case anymore. But it was really interesting to see that, and yeah, a bit more exploration. And there is that kind of, at the very end, there's that suggestive, oh, maybe he is faking it, situation where he's wearing the space blanket, and then in an instant's moments, he just takes it off. Because Jimmy says, I'm not, this billboard thing, which obviously Chuck knows about at this point, he's like, no, this billboard thing is just a one-off thing. I've got my clients. I'm ready to continue going back straight. And then Chuck's like, okay, takes the space blanket off, walks off to get coffee himself. And that was kind of like a moment. Okay, which kind of defended Jimmy, who was only saying what he was saying, that Chuck only did what he did because of the news, not because he was outside or anything like that. It was just an interesting take on that. But anyway, by the end of episode 5, and this is where things get really interesting, is, Jimmy, for the first time ever, has enough stickers for Mike at the toll booth. And then he says, need a will, call McGill, kind of thing. That was pretty funny. When he was Mike was looking at him like, bitch, are you calling me old? But then, the camera stays there. Jimmy leaves, but the camera stays there. And then we follow Mike to a diner. Then we follow Mike home. And you're like, oh shit, what's happening? And then you see the shadow one through the window. Mike opens the door. There's a bunch of cops there. What did they say? What exactly was the dialogue there? It was something about long way from home. And then it just cuts to black. Oh, and before that, we forgot to mention Mike was sitting in a car, kind of just watching this woman who we didn't really know at the time who it was, and then she drives off. But when that ended, I was like, holy crap. And then when I got home the day of the 6th episode, I found out it was a Mike episode. I was like, oh my god. And when you watch episode 6, you're like, this is risky as fuck. This is a full 180 on what they're doing. They've turned the tables. But it was for the better. Because it was like the most risky thing to do was completely turn all the tension away from Jimmy and put it all on Mike. And it was a much, much, much darker tone. And it's a flashback. It's Mike's backstory. We learn about Mike, how he ended up where he is. And, oh, man, it's so good. It's so good. And when you think about it, it's like Mike's probably got a huge backstory. It's almost said Max. Mike has a huge... You would think, he's got a huge backstory. There's a lot to him. But when you think about it, it's like he was a cop, and then the events of this episode showcased. Then he ended up in Albuquerque, which is where we are now. And that was really the main point. We moved over here when this was after he finished the force. He was in for 30 years or something ridiculous. And then now we're going to see Mike, along with Jimmy, grow into where Breaking Bad's going to take place. So that was cool. That this kind of background story that Mike Ehrmantraut is now explained. And it was done so good, so greatly. It was fantastic, that episode. The entire of episode 6, like I said, it was really risky because it changed the focus, and it was all about Mike. Jimmy was in the episode for like 2 minutes, and then he's gone. It was all about Mike. But here's the thing. No one's complaining about that. Everyone wanted that. We all wanted Mike. We went through 5 episodes of Mike doing jack shit at the toll booth. And I think he was in every single episode, if you count it. He was definitely in the first 3. I'm pretty sure he made it into 4. And yeah, he was in again at the end of 5. And then S6 was... So Mike's been in every single episode. But he's done nothing. Until finally we got this whole episode about him. Which is exciting as shit. And this... Like, oh my god. Oh my god. The acting. Holy shit. Is all I can say. Holy shit. I'm sorry. Jonathan Banks. Fuck me. That enemy's yours. That enemy has to be yours, because what you did with Mike, what you ended up doing with Mike, was beautiful. When he said, I lost my boy at the end of the episode. Fuck is all I can say. It was really well told as well, this backstory, because it bounced back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and it was really confusing the first time you watch it. But when you watch it again a second time and you understand where all this is coming from, this is such a well made episode, and it's a first time writer as well. It was someone who was like, I think, a writing assistant throughout Breaking Bad. This is his first episode he wrote himself. Fantastic. Directed, fantastic. This acting, mind blowing. Like, damn, this episode was so good. Episode 6. What was it called? 5-0. And while, episode 6, 5-0. Holy shit. There's really not much I could say on that, but damn, fantastic episode. We learned about Mike. I think it's safe to say at this point Mike's going to be a bigger regular in the whole series, even though him and Saul's interaction, like, it was good to see that chemistry back, because we felt that chemistry is being sort of lacking since Breaking Bad. I think where, like, Bob Odenkirk, he's doing his Saul thing. It's fantastic, but there's not a lot of other characters he can bounce that off that we are familiar with. Like, I mean, his chemistry with Chuck and Kim and all that is fine, but like having him back with Mike, these two are the closest we're going to get to a tie from the old series. Because remember, you can talk about Tuco all you want, but the thing is, Saul, Mike, and Tuco, no, they weren't together in the same episodes. Tuco died before we even first met Saul, and then Mike was a few episodes after we first met Saul. So, it's not that great of a connection. They've actually never been together before in Breaking Bad, I mean. So, and yes, we've seen Mike and Saul talk through the toll booth, and that's always been fun. But when they were put together in the room right before they did the interview with the cops, it's like that chemistry felt lacking in this series so far, and we're finally getting it back. But I think the dark turn was very interesting. It felt like a different show. It really did, but it wasn't. It felt more like Breaking Bad, obviously, just because it was simply a darker tone. But this is the kind of show where that's not a criticism. It's not anything to take away. This show isn't aiming for a consistent tone, because it's about these characters. And if you're gonna do an episode on one character who's, obviously at this stage, Mike is a much more darker character than Saul. He's been through a lot more at this point. And yes, Saul's been through a lot of crap, especially with Tuco, and then later in Breaking Bad, there's a lot of shit that happens. But Mike, you look at his fucking dead, beady eyes, and you're like, this motherfucker's been through it all. And again, so sad. Mike crying makes you fucking cry. That's all I'm gonna say. He cried, and it was the saddest thing ever. This episode, it's a good episode on its own, but like with that nostalgia, with the fact that we know Mike, and we finally learn where his character is coming from, it was just done so well, and the whole episode was about it. And it was really nicely paced, and how back and forth. And it just showed how clever Mike. I love seeing, Mike going through the cop car. Gets the string through the door to open it, and he like plants the gun there, and then he pretends he's just completely out of it, wasted, and then he just kills both those dickhead cops in cold blood. That was fantastic. Oh man, I love seeing it when shows that they just get so smart. And yeah, Jimmy's a smart guy, and Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, they're really smart shows. The characters in those shows are typically very smart. Walt was smart as fuck, so he got out of some ridiculous shit. It was fun to see him tick. And Jesse, he was there with Walt, so that was fun too. But and now in this one, it's Saul and Mike getting through these, and they're fucking great. Like, Saul's a fucking good lawyer when you think about it, especially later on in Breaking Bad. And Mike, Jesus Christ, we don't need to talk about Mike's qualifications in anything, but damn is all I can say. Anyway, it kind of makes me sad, because this series is doing so well, and it's kind of the first 5 episodes, well, okay, this is fun, this is really fun, and then Mike comes in, and you're like, holy shit, this series. And when you think about it compared to the first season of Breaking Bad, it's like, this is already, in a lot of ways, miles better than the first season of Breaking Bad. I mean, not necessarily like the story and all of that, but like, the cinematography and the way, the rhythm in which all the scenes play out and the actual story itself. I just feel like they're doing a much better job with it this time. I mean, like I said, the Vince Gilligan's team, they're a master craft of this storytelling. The difference is that if you compare this first season to the first season of Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul's probably going to win in a lot of departments because they're just better at it. They've had 6 years of experience with Breaking Bad, which everyone is in love with. So of course the season's going to play it really well, but I'm in love with what they're doing. The Saul episode is what everyone was asking for. I said in the last video, we need more Mike, and I said Saul episode. I meant Mike episode, sorry. But we need more Mike. That's what I said, and we got it, and it fucking delivered. Fantastic. Like episode 5 was okay, but like in comparison, episode 6 was just fucking crazy. Now I can't wait to watch episode 7 and 8, do a review on that, and then 9 and 10, and then the season's done for the year. What the hell? It's almost done already. I haven't watched the series live as it aired since Prison Break, which was like 2005, 2009. And even around the end then, I kind of got lazy where it's like, I missed a few episodes and I just watched like 5 in a row online or whatever, and I just got them on DVD later or whatever. But this is the first time in almost 10 years where I've actually watched the show from episode 1 and then just watched it every week as soon as possible. So it's hard to comment on the pacing, but it sucks. The season's almost over. There's only 4 episodes of the season. Is there? 7, 8, 9. Yeah. What the hell? That's not fun. Oh well. Well, thanks for watching, Mega Gamer. These episodes have been fantastic, especially 6. This season is so damn good. And from what we're hearing, the last 2 episodes of the season, 9 and 10, I guess, is going to be shocking. Is the word they used? Shocking. So I can't wait. I hope this means Mike's kind of a bigger role generally in the episodes from now on, now that we know his backstory, now that we got this Mike episode. And I'm interested to see where this is going. Because we kind of hit that point where it's like, okay, what do they do next? You know? There's not a lot of cliffhangers in these episodes where it kind of ends and you're just like, oh, I can't wait to see the continuation of this very plot. It kind of just like, okay, it's like the end of a scene. And then it turns out it's actually the end of the episode. It's like, well, what are they going to show next? Is it going to be some sort of Kettleman thing back? Is it going to go back to Saul? And yeah, he's kind of, or Jimmy with his battle with Hamlin and all that? Or is it going to continue with Mike? So, you know, we don't know. And we've got to see how the season plays out. I feel like the season as a whole is going to have this whole kind of connected thing. So once episode 10 comes out and we look at it all again, we analyze all 10 episodes in one hit, then we're going to see something really special. And it is special at the moment. I'm just saying that once the season is all well-rounded together, it's not going to be this question of what's next. It's going to be like, wow, that as a single season was fantastic. And I'm excited. So thanks for watching, Mega Gamer, and Better Call Saul's fucking awesome.